Hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time you are watching this. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Thriving Beyond Borders. My name is Nnamdi Ihelacho. I am the founder here at the African Immigrant Collective, and this is a weekly series that we do where we bring you tools and resources to ensure you thrive here in our newfound home as an African immigrant or a member of the African diaspora and really immigrant at large. So our objective is to ensure that no one has to start from scratch. If this is your first time connecting with us, then welcome. You are in for a treat. Make sure you sit till the end. And after this, go and watch previous episodes, and there'll be so much value and content that you will receive. If you have been a part of this community, thank you very much for continuing to show up. And if you have not subscribed, come on, man. What are you doing? Go and subscribe. Please do that for us. It's very important that you do that. It helps us continue to reach and serve the people that we are meant to serve. This week, I am going into a very sensitive conversation with the realities that we currently have to deal with every day. All right, let's talk about something that's actually happening, and not with fear or with politics, but with a level of clarity, that's important. Because the worst thing you can do in uncertain climate is make plans based on assumptions that are no longer true. And so that is why today I'll be speaking on the immigration reality check, what the current climate means for your long-term plan. I will also give a disclaimer. I am not a legal practitioner. My father is, but he practiced in Nigeria. All right, my dad is actually a lawyer, but he is retired, just taking care of himself, I guess. Anyways, maybe I am a legal practitioner by DNA, by heritage. Maybe that's the case. No, let's see. But anyway, I am not a legal practitioner. However, advocacy, policy, immigration, all of those things are very core values for us at the African American Collective, and it's a core thing for us. We want to make sure that we are providing access to information and resources for people navigating immigration at every stage. That's why we have sessions on immigration, where we get people to come ask questions. We bring in experts. We are fortunate. We partner with, or we are blessed to have immigration attorneys, other legal practitioners who are part of our community who volunteer their time to give value. Our monthly immigration clinics have served several people in the last couple of months since we started. Again, because this is a core focus for us, we make sure that we're not just talking, we're not just reacting to happenings. We want to ensure that we are also providing resources and access so people can do well. It's part of our journey as immigrants. This is in fact the foundational step. Once you get here, sorting out immigration and making sure you are established to operate legally, within the context of what's allowed in the country, is a major conversation for us. And so that's why this is part of a part of our core as a community, as an organization. Today, I want to really get into all of the current policy and enforcement environments, how it feels like, talk about that directly, and hopefully share some practical and advocacy forward, things that we can approach, how to get, visa readiness, visa strategies, documentation readiness, career positioning under uncertainty, all of that. So that's the goal. So let's talk through, our core framework of my conversation, and I call it the 3-column stability plan. The 3-column stability plan. So the first thing I want to do is, I acknowledge that the fear is real, the anxiety is real, the news does not help. Any news outlet is saying and stoking the same reaction. Some people, depending on the direction they lean, it is either stoking fear, they are doing this with everybody, the things are bad, it's terrible, you hate these people, you want all of them out, and they amplify the, and anti-immigrant rhetoric, right? That's one side. Another side is braggadocious about it. Well, we don't have a country, if we don't have borders, and if you came here illegally, you don't discount it, so they push you like, hey, we have to do what we have to do. Like, hey, sorry, get out of here if you don't have your stuff. And so it's almost like, where do we fall in, right? There is everybody, it's almost like there's an agenda on all the sides. And the truth is, the real impacted people is us. It is whether you have your immigration paperwork done, whether you're a citizen or not, directly or indirectly, we are impacted. The fear in the community affects us. Even if you have your papers and all of that, you're worried about people that you know directly, right? So you have people you know. A lot of the people that might be affected are people who you go to church with, people who you work with, so it's people who their kids are friends with your kids. And so it's directly or indirectly, we are impacted. And so it's not the time to say, I'm fine, I've gone through mine, I'm good, this does not concern me. No, it's not the time to do that. It's time for us to band together. Somebody said something, and while I don't necessarily agree with that saying, I feel like it was coming from a place of pain. And maybe in that moment for their reality, this statement was true, but they said the biggest problem for an immigrant still trying to get their papers is an immigrant who already has their papers, right? Again, because we have this concept of I've gone through it, right? And it's something I am totally going to keep advocating against until I see change. And that is the idea that because you went through it, the people coming after you have to go through it. No, the fact that you went through it is your permission to ensure that nobody else has to experience those things. You should live it better, right? We live in a culture here in the United States that a big part of the I call it the fabric of this country is we want to ensure that we leave the country better for our kids than we found it, right? The one that we lived in. That's something they talk about and say proudly. You hear that through political campaigns and all of that. As immigrants, we should adopt the same thing, right? I want the America my kids experience. The immigrant coming in 5 years after, in the next 5 years, in 10 years. They should have resources that I did not have access to. They should have information I didn't have. They should have structure in place that I did not have. The thing that I went through, I should make sure that nobody around me has to go through those things. Legitimately, that's how we continue to grow and thrive as a community. And so I want to call that out. And so while I disagree with the person who made the statement that, the person with papers is the biggest problem the other one has, there are bigger issues, right? There are bigger issues for somebody who doesn't have their paperwork yet that they have to deal with. But the people, I don't think collectively as a people, we have done enough to ensure that there's not, our people are not constantly following this cycle. I was always say for crying out loud, right? I'm trying to be. Immigration has been going on, and Africans have been moving here for decades now, several decades. There are people who have lived here for 40, 50 years. I have relatives who have lived here maybe 5 decades, right? And so if we've had people, migrating all of this while, why is it that people we've not, in all of this time, there's no infrastructure to make this systematic for people, to systemize the immigration process? By the immigration, the USCIS already exists for this process, right? But why is it not that once somebody gets here and based on the path they want to go, this is my objective for coming to America and what I'm trying to do, there should be resources that are putting you on the right track. Again, that is what we're trying to build here at African Collective, because it's not enough to call out a problem. What are you doing about it? And so that's what we're doing, is leading from the front and making sure this is a part of our DNA as an organization, is providing resources that serve us and make sure, again, while we're immigrants, immigration is a key part of that conversation. And so we need infrastructure, we need the right documentation, we need guidance, and so people don't have to, based on where you are, you have a clear path. Okay, this is based on my background, this is the best path for me, and then you have resources to pursue that. That's how it should be. A lot of other immigrant communities have done that successfully. So we're not necessarily creating something that doesn't exist. We just have to care enough. We just have to care enough. Students who come here on F1 shouldn't have to figure certain things out while they're going through school. They're trying to pass exams. Why are we not on every campus? And receiving the students and making sure they have access to resources. They have access to, as they go through their journey, we're advising them on how to navigate CPT and OPT and all of those things. That is what we should be doing. But anyway, 2026 is happening, and anybody who lives in this country is aware, that the immigration climate is a bit more tense, and that's valid, right? And I want to start by acknowledging that fear is valid, right? And it's real. It's something that we know people who are, who generally have to make adjustments and, and different things. There are key policy shifts that are relevant to us, right? You see the countries that are banned, have visa restrictions. A lot of African countries, right? There is some complete visa bans and some partial. Then there's other, changes around enforcement with ICE, how that is working. And so resources have been taken from administration. And there's a backlog in the green card applications while a lot of resources have been allocated to enforcement, right? And so that's affecting us directly, affecting people are falling out of status because of delayed processing, not because they didn't turn in the right paperwork. And that's a reality that we have to deal with. The visa processing changes that's happening. Workplace audits, for the first time, we're seeing things where organizations are putting out training on how to respond to immigration enforcement, and how to navigate those things. And so it is an interesting time to be here, right? It's an interesting time to be an immigrant in the United States, and all of that. A lot is going on. However, again, I want to be very clear. There's so many voices, and a lot of them have agendas, right? One on the media side, it's media. Bad news sells in media, and so it behooves me, if I want to be successful in media, it makes sense to fan the flames of bad news, because bad news is good news for media, right? And so you see the bigger platforms, they've chosen a side and they flog into the worst case scenarios on those sides. And so we are facing this information problem. What is the real situation? Because our sources all have agendas. And so there's the social media panic versus the facts. And people post these videos and then they share like, oh, is it what's happening there right now? And again, the realities are the realities. From what perspective is this reality being filmed? Right? And so now people are afraid. And people are in alarm. So my job is not to do the same thing today, right? It is more to arm you than to alarm you, right? That is my goal. So let's get into that, 3-column stability plan that I talked about earlier. The first column is document readiness. Okay, so for anyone you're not yet a citizen, you're still navigating. Even citizens, you have your passport, make sure you have it handy. But know where your documents are. So column 1 is the document readiness. Know where your visa documents are, your approval notices, work authorization, all of that. Have it handy. Know where they are, right? It's very important. Very, very important. And then if you can make digital copies and store them securely, right? Maybe in a way where it's easy to access, just in case you need to pull it up abruptly, you have access to it. So have digital copies, actual copies of it stored in places that is easy to describe and find, right? So that's that document readiness. If you have any timelines around documentation, please be aware of them. It's not the time to be forget dates, right? If you don't know when your EADs are expiring, work authorizations, any of that, this is not the time. Again, please, if I say something and it doesn't sound accurate or anything, I am not illegal. I'm just leading an organization that handles this kind of things. But we have immigration attorneys. I'll urge you to get connected to our WhatsApp group, and we have a group that's specifically for immigration, and that's a place to get more in-depth and more intricate answers or responses to this kind of questions. But make sure you know your timelines. Make sure you know when your filing deadlines are, all of that. Don't wait, right? It's very important. Column number 2 is career positioning. Okay, and this is for especially if you're my fellow F1 immigrants that came through F1, or you're F1, young people, students, and even other people. Like the priority is going to skill when it comes to filing and visa sponsorship. Right? Skill elevator. Build skills that transcend visa status, that transcend certifications, credentials, transferable expertise. It's very important. I did a session earlier in the month, and I was talking about entrepreneurship as a pathway. And that was during the window for H1B filing. And it's still going. I think the H1B filing window still goes to, but H1B is a lottery. it's a lottery system. And so it's basically you file your application and then a limited amount of people get selected, and preference is given to higher, people with higher degrees, higher skill, all of that. And what I was proposing then was, it's time to start leveraging innovation, and skill and beginning to start something so that assuming the H-1B routes for, employer it falls through, that's, high skill, those other high skill options become pathways for you to explore as well. The thing is, a lot of people start it's like people start to dig their well when they're thirsty. No, it's time to do it now. So, career position is important, right? Building skills that transcend visa status, that transcend certifications, all of that. Okay, because now you have the option to explore, merit-based pathways, the NIWs, the EB1, EB2, all of that. What qualifications are you already building toward, right, with respect to these other parts? So you have to be intentional in your career positioning and your professional development. There should be an intention to it. A lot of times, just like we say with business, with life, like, hey, pursue your passion. Make sure you have resources to eat first before you pursue your passion, right? Don't go get paid and then pursue your passion. It's the same thing. The same thing applies. There are certain things you might want to do, but they might not be. If your goal is to is to remain, then you want to position yourself properly, right, to ensure that you stay. And so not every career path provides certain opportunities. There's an abundance of, you don't want to be in a space or a field where there's an abundance of that talent, because what that does is limit your opportunity or limit your value in the context of why do we want to give you preferential treatment for an immigration pathway when we're not necessarily looking for a skill. So you want to go, that's why the STEM fields are always recommended when it comes to what you study in school, again, for immigrants who are trying to come in and all of that. And so get established, get to where you can live and work with your 10 toes down and you're not under duress. Then you can pursue other things that you want. It's a great country to explore your passions and the things that you love. So I'm not saying throw them away. I'm just saying, be very intentional about how you navigate, position yourself in your career. And then the third column is community insulation, right? Know your rights and have them written down. This is the part where, again, for our people, you have rights, even as an immigrant. It's important to know them, write them down so that if it's ever challenged, you can defend yourself. You can speak up for yourself. You can advocate yourself in that moment. You can know when lines are being crossed, because you will accept certain things if you do not understand or if you are not aware that, hey, this should not be happening to me, even if I am in this situation, right? There are certain rights that you have as an immigrant. This country affords us certain privileges and certain rights, and so you want to know them and write them down and be able to invoke your rights as if the need ever arises. So know your rights, have them written down, build a trusted contact network, right? Build a trusted contact network. Again, your community is powerful. So an immigration attorney, do you have any? Make sure you have 1 or 2 numbers in your phone, right? A community leader, okay, who can you call? It's something that, again, I think this one we do well with, somebody is like, hey, please call this person, let them, so that somebody's actually rallying on your behalf just in case if anything ever happens. So a community leader, a trusted employer, it's going to be a good ally. That is, so those are resources you need to have. Those are people you need to have in your network as somebody who is still navigating their building, their immigration process. Those are numbers you need to have on standby, ready to call. So an immigration attorney, a community leader, employer, trusted employer, all of those. But make sure you have your community and you are intentionally nurturing that community. And again, we have our monthly immigration clinics. Please get plugged into the African Collective. We are always sharing information. There are people with access and resources, whether from a career perspective, I'm talking about, building skill, building your career, position yourself. We have a pool of experts who come and share knowledge every week, right? It gives you a platform to explore and ask questions. Okay, you can connect to the community and say, hey, who's doing this? I'm interested. Give me some knowledge. As this guy, I just randomly bump into his content on Instagram. Monkwe, give me the wisdom, right? So some days you might need somebody to give you the wisdom. And so if you want to be in a community where you have access to those things, right? It's so important. Let's not do this journey by ourselves. My hope is the platform can serve you, and then one day you become the one who is also serving others, who is the resource person to other people. That is my hope, that is my wish, that is my desire, that we continue to grow as a community, to be advocates for ourselves, to push our cause forward. So have that right community with you. And then the next thing I want to talk about is advocacy is protection, right? It's so important. Again, this is something. One thing I have to say is we can no longer be, as immigrants who are here, especially those of us who have gone through the system, gone through our papers, established now, we can't afford to now just focus on ourselves and our career and our families. No, it's time for us to step in and be looped into the process. Elections matter. If you can vote, you got to be involved in the political process. You have to go to your council meetings. You have to get civically engaged. We have to, let me not say you, we have to, as a people, as a community, be more aware, civically aware. Civic engagement is not optional for our community anymore. Elections matter. Beyond that, right, school districts and redistricting, annexation, and I'm just throwing out words at this point, right? But all of those things are critical and affect us. They affect the schools, they affect our zone, the school zones, the school districts, the places we live, taxes we pay, that's taken away from our paychecks, all of that. We get to decide, we get to have a say. It's a privilege, right? That you are provided an opportunity to have a say in building of roads and schools and expansions and city projects. We get to have a say in those things. Please do not get involved, right? Don't just be, civic engagement is not optional for us anymore. And I want to emphasize that again, please, on June 27th, our advocacy and policy and advocacy conference is happening. June 20th. Make sure you are there. If you are local in Georgia, then you have to be physically in the room. It's going to be happening at the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, the Gwinnett Chamber Foundation, the education room. They are letting us use that space. We're going to have elected officials. We're going to have leaders from the community. We have business leaders, and we're coming together to, again, share information and resources around our people and how we can get more involved. We're going to talk about immigration. We'll talk about enforcement. All the things I've referenced today you're going to hear from leaders that are at the forefront of these things and how to get involved, right? So it's important. Your voice is very necessary in that room. Your voice is part of your long-term protection strategy. It's part of our collective long-term protection strategy, is using our voices. Our voices are powerful. And so we need to start becoming aware and educated on what we have been given. And so please, but the main thing I want to shout out or call out is, don't isolate yourself. Don't guess. Don't, again, equip yourself, prepare. Make sure you are not caught off guard. We don't wish anybody runs into any issues. But we do know that we are living in a bit more sensitive times. And so how we move should be different. How we operate should be different. We should adjust to what the situation of the situation of the times is, and make sure that we're not caught off guard. That's the whole gist. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not stoking additional fear, but calling everyone to action. My students, foreign students, people navigating immigration at different stages in their career. If you're still going through the system, please make sure you are you're paying attention to details, and you're being careful about it. You know your timelines, you have your documentation, you have your network. Again, stay connected, join community, and take advantage of the resources that are available to us. I hope that's helpful for everybody. Again, I'm not an attorney, so I can't say certain things. Anything I share is going to be from my own experience, and just working with our people and everybody who's involved. So That's where I'm coming from. I'm just a passionate leader who wants to see our people thrive. And I want to, call everyone out and say, hey, come on in, get involved, get plugged in. You don't have to be needing immigration help to be part of the collective. If you have navigated your journey and have attained success, then come pour back into the community. Let's build together. All right, that is my call to action. Thank you for listening to me. I want to urge you as well, spread the word about the work we do. We are a young nonprofit, so we need your voice to extend our reach. That the infrastructure we've created, we want to serve more people. We build this for our people, so it's not a money grab. It's powered by people. It's powered by goodwill of people, volunteers, leaders across, just coming and saying, hey, let's do this. I didn't have it. I want somebody else to have it. That's how we've grown. So please keep spreading the word. Subscribe to the channel. And like I said, we're a young nonprofit. In fact, this month, in a couple of days, we are going to be 2 years old. The African Immigrant Collective is 2 years old, 2 years of showing up regularly for Africans across the country, African immigrants, the Black diaspora. We have represented you in the last 2 years. We have tried to provide resources. We have provided masterclasses, conferences, programs, what have you, right? In a short time, we've grown our volunteer base. We have over 50 volunteers who do different things within AIM. Total people that are volunteered in different capacities are significantly more than that. And we have held, 2 summits. We have held multiple advocacy conferences. But the second one is coming up, 2 women's conferences, weekly master classes, immigration clinics since the beginning of 2026, every month since March. And so it has been incredible impact. And so my ask is, first of all, if this community has, added to your journey, made things better for you, then I want to ask you to invest in it, right? Invest in it. I'm calling everyone to go to our website, africanimmigrantcollective.org, africanimmigrantcollective.org, and then go there. You will see how you can donate to our cause to support. You go, there's a donation page. I think on our resources, you see donate, go donate. And I'm asking for more than just a one-time donation. I'm urging everyone to actually go and be a recurring donor. Again, we don't have a massive budget that we're operating with. We're able to do what we do based off of the goodwill of people. And so we want people to hey, your $10 a month, your $20, your $30, $40, $50, $100, $1,000, $10,000 a month. It helps us be able to plan. We have a budget, we know what's coming in, and so we know how to navigate programming. But we need resources to continue to do the work that we are doing. Let's band together, and that's how you tell us, well done on your work. It's by putting your resources behind the work. And so I'm urging everyone to, if you have found value in this, or you feel like you've listened to me for the first time and you feel like, man, I didn't know these guys existed, that's how you keep us going, is by saying, hey, let me be a part of it. Again, not trying to say don't give what will take food away from the table. But if you are in a position to give $20, $10 every month, $50, it will go a long way for us, I promise you. So I want to see more recurring donations, recurring donors. If you can do one time and that's it for you, then thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead and do that. But even more, is my ask is, let's make it, become recurring if it's within our capacity. And of course, like I mentioned, June 27th, at the Gwinnett Chamber Foundation, we will be having our Advocacy and Policy Conference 2026. It's going to be incredible. It will also be the graduation for the Business Igniter program, first Catalyst program for the year. I'm excited. It was one of the things we wanted to do this year, and my goal was, let's have one of each of the programs run, one cohort, and we are off to the first one. Let's go. So come and be a part of it, a part of celebration. I know you might be asking, well, if I'm not in Gwinnett, if I'm not in Georgia, can I be a part of it? Yes. Please go ahead and sign up for the event and let us know your location, where you're joining from. Eventually, as we get closer to the date, we will send out instructions. We'll make accommodations for people who are not local to still join virtually. But it is an in-person event. We want to make sure, but we'll make provision to ensure that our folks who are not here are still able to be a part of it. So go sign up June 26th. It's going to be exciting. And thank you so much. Till I come your way next time again, go subscribe and keep thriving beyond borders. God bless you.